What is going on? Happy Tuesday. We saw a decent day yesterday, to be fair. We're not going to stand on ceremony, get straight into it. We saw breaks on Euro USD. We also saw breaks on Euro CAD, which were obviously two things that we were waiting and looking for. We're starting to see pullbacks this morning. I've started to have a few itchy messages come through where people are starting to get a little bit in their feelings about it. It's not really anything that we weren't anticipating or expecting to see, if I'm honest. Anyone who's been around trading long enough knows that we tend to go into profit and then quickly pull back before going into further profit. So the fact that we've started to see a little pullback does not worry us in the slightest. With that said, though, there are a few exceptions and a few things that we need to be mindful of in regards to this narrative and to that rule. First and foremost, 119. 119 is key to us at the moment. It is key to everything that we are about to do and everything we're about to look for when it comes to the pair. Hold on, let me just adjust that. And everything that we're coming to look for when it comes to this pair. If we were to start to look at breaking above 119, then we have to really start to consider as to whether or not we're best served in that position as things stand. The break below 119 and the break below 118.80 yesterday was obviously quite a big thing, and that was the key level that we were waiting to get below. We have obviously subsequently seen that break. And as a result, obviously, we were about 50 to 60 pips up, depending on your entry, yesterday. We're coming back to being around about 20 pips up as things stand. I know that my second entry at 118.80 is now a couple of pips down. It's not a problem. The pullback was always kind of anticipated and almost expected. The fact that the dollar continued its strength, and the Canadian dollar for that one as well. The fact that they just continued their strength immediately into the week was a little bit surprising almost. So the fact that we've started to see a little bit of a sell-off surrounding the dollar at the moment does not concern us. It's not of a worry. It's just one of those things. Hold nerve, go with it. Above 119, we might start to get a little bit nervous. If we start to break towards 19.20, then we're definitely going to start to get nervous. But as things stand at the moment, more than content to continue to hold the position. There doesn't seem to be any real reason to start getting concerned just yet. Obviously, that is subject to change. Things can change very quickly in this game. The fact that we've got no fundamentals, though, is partly what I believe is causing these movements. It's just a little bit of sideways and choppy movement before obviously we start to see fundamentals come into play as the day moves, as the week moves on. There's nothing left. There's nothing today. I think there's an Aussie speech later tonight, which will affect one of the pairs that we're going to look at, or a couple of the pairs that we're going to look at. But I do just want to introduce Euro Oz to the mix today. But yeah, as things stand, hold nerve. Euro CAD, a similar situation. Not quite so drastic. We're starting to see the pullbacks now. Obviously, we managed to get an entry at 105.50, at 150.50 even yesterday. So once we had broken through that region, as we had already discussed yesterday morning, when you come out to the higher time frames, The pullback to 52 was always a possibility and still remains a possibility. Definitely can't rule that off or write that off. But as things stand, obviously we're nicely in profit on Euro CAD. When you come out to the higher time frames, obviously you can see the significance of that support region and the fact that once that support's gone, we're back down to 149. And obviously from 149 down to 146, or 147, then 146, then 145. So huge potential surrounding the pair. More than happy to let that ride out. I do have a 50 pip stop loss, placing my stop loss at 151. So as things stand at the minute, I am in zero danger of being stopped out and currently running about 35 pips to the good. So there's no need to get too het up at the moment. Obviously Euro CAD showing some positive signs. We've just had the Euro Open and we're likely obviously to see a little bit of more of a push when it comes to the London Open also. But we'll just let these ride for now. Pound Swiss, we've seen it push on. We were talking about Pound Swiss, that potential break below 28.80 yesterday, and obviously the pop back above 29.20. That's occurred, and obviously we've started to see that push up. I think we'll establish 130 this morning before seeing how price fares from there. The pound in general doesn't quite seem ready to let go of the strength that it's found recently. So I believe that for this pair that fires into that 131 region that we were talking about yesterday. It makes a lot of sense for that to happen. If we just come down, you can see around this 131 region. I would expect to see some form of a pullback from there. I can't imagine that we go all the way to 32 without us seeing a pullback. So from 130, maybe pull back to kind of 129.50 and then continue up to 132. End up with a situation that looks a little bit similar to this. Come back, retest that level, and then obviously go to 132. So we will wait that out, see what happens. But as things stand, obviously we got that break above the 20 level yesterday. So there was definitely the position and trade as we were talking about yesterday. We just see where we go from there at the moment. I would want to get the London session out of the way with, or the London Open out of the way with, should I say, not the whole session. But to get the London Open out of the way with before obviously looking at potential positions from there. Pound CAD is a similar story, although not quite as dramatic. We broke back above that 175.20 region that we were talking about yesterday. We broke below yesterday morning, established that support still at that 40 region. So it's pretty clear to us now that 74.40 holds the keys to potential downside movement. Getting through this region at 75.20 is all well and good, but we don't have too far to go once we get through there. So we need to be extremely mindful of this area, but certainly around 74.80, and then obviously below 74.80 we have 74, and that 74 region is going to be vital to getting downside momentum on this pair. The one thing that I'm liking at the moment is obviously the failure to break these highs. If we were to pop back above the highs, say to like 65, then I think full attention has to be turned to potential long positions. The fact that we're establishing some support again at this previous support region is obviously a promising sign for those potential longs and potential buyers in the market. But I think for people that aren't already involved in a position away from that 30 level, we have to at least wait for 65 to be taken out before we can look for a potential move. If obviously we do get that close above 75.65, then the longs up to 76.60, 76.50, somewhere within that highlighted region seem highly probable. Breaks back below, I wouldn't be looking for a short now until 74.80 is taken out. But if 74.80 goes, you've got a nice trade down to the 40 level. We should be able to get risk-free before attempting to break through that 74.40 level. And obviously once that goes, then the floodgates should open. We should see a significant push through here down to 72, closing back inside obviously this range, and we'll see how range low reacts when we get there. So we have a few things to be mindful of surrounding the CAD this morning. Obviously, the Canadian dollar will be very much waiting for tomorrow's announcement. I believe it's the Canadian dollar first or Wednesday. So Wednesday afternoon, they give their rate decision and obviously the press conference that follows. Then I think Thursday afternoon is the Euro's turn. So it could potentially be a big week for that Euro CAD position. And as I say, with the amount of reward that is on the table in that position, it is certainly one to be very, very aware and mindful of. So we will keep an eye on these pairs. Pound Swiss seems to be the exception to the rule, but mostly I attribute that to the fact that obviously the Swiss franc is extremely weak as things stand. Pound CAD we've been through, dollar CAD, Euro CAD we've been through, Pound Swiss, Euro USD we've been through. I'm going to go Aussie CAD first and then Aussie Yen. Aussie CAD again, it's a little bit contradictory. I do firmly believe in the potential downside for Aussie CAD. I think the Canadian dollar has been very strong, and a little bit of positive news is likely to continue that and see that drive and push back down towards the lows. This level at 97 was expecting not to be broken, if I'm honest. Once we had broken through it, I was kind of expecting that to act as resistance. But the fact still remains is that as we look out to the higher picture and we zoom out a little bit, certainly come out to the 4 hours, until we take out the highs, we can't really get too excited when it comes to potential long positions. As things stand, obviously, we've still got this area through here where there's quite a bit of noise that it could potentially act as a resistance level for us. Look all the way through here, all the way through here also. So we're at an area to retest that we would firmly expect to kind of be at. So we can definitely still anticipate the potential push to the downside on this pair. If you're not already in it or you're looking for a potential entry, then I would say that below 96.80 makes the most amount of sense. I think it's actually a position that I will keep quite a close eye on and potentially look to send out as a trade plan, just because the stop loss on it's not particularly going to need to be particularly big. We're only really going to need to keep it above the whole number. Whilst the risk to reward, the reward target on it, if we can break down, is pretty big. Looking for that continuation of CAD strength, I see very little reason as to why 94 isn't achievable by the end of this week, should we see positive news come out surrounding the Canadian dollar. If not, I'm almost certain that the pair ends the week at 98. So we've got potential opportunities, but as things stand at the moment, given the fact that the Canadian dollar is still strong across the board, I think I would be more comfortable looking at potential short opportunities than I would longs at the moment. So we will keep an eye and a watch on that. Aussie Yen, we can see obviously again that the Aussie dollar is not being particularly strong at the moment, but we have seen a little fight back and a little bit of a resurgence over the last couple of certainly over the last day. 983 still very much holds the key to potential downside on Aussie Yen. If we can get below the 83 level, then I'm fairly confident we will see a drop into 82 quite quickly. Still not looking for longs until 84 goes. So as things stand at the moment, we are just very much in no man's land surrounding that pair. You can just see the consolidation on the 4-hour time frame. There isn't a particular trade to be taken. Yeah, if you pop above the highs at 75, 80, that region, there's a potential trade. But do you want to be involved early for the sake of 20 pips when you can just wait and actually see that range high get taken out before trying to take a potential trade? It makes very little to no sense whatsoever to be involved in that position until the highs are taken out. Certainly as things stand at the moment. Before we go to gold, Euro Oz is something that I wanted to look at. As I say, with Euro Oz at the moment, what is of particular interest, and we're going to have to come down the time frames to see it properly, I think, is this potential head and shoulders pattern that we have just broken from. We'll draw it in. It's going to be very terrible, but there's little to no way I'm going to match those up. Let's just see if we can't match these up quickly. So we can see we've had our left shoulder, our head and our right shoulder, and we have just broken below the support region that would act as our neckline. Like I say, the Aussie dollar is not particularly strong as we look across the board, but the euro does look pretty weak. Obviously, we've seen a slight strengthen up against the dollar at the moment, but the euro in general doesn't look to be particularly strong, and that breakout is quite significant. So as things stand at the moment, the possibility of a Euro Oz short is high. The big thing here is this 54.20 region. That 54.20 level has acted as significant support recently, and that's a level that we would want to see broken before we were able to really have true confidence in the position, true confidence in the pair as we move forward. So as things stand at the moment, obviously that is something that we do need to be a little bit mindful of and cautious of as we progress through the day. But certainly as things stand at the moment, the fact that we've seen that potential head and shoulders and that breakout certainly gives some confidence in the fact that a short is a probable opportunity. That 54.20 region is obviously extremely key to whatever we do as we look for potential entries and potential positions throughout today. I am actually involved in this. I'm running about 2 to 3 pips in profit at the moment. So I'm currently involved, but as I say, we will see how we go. The entry from that breakout was nice. So far from convinced with the position, in the sense of I'd want to see that 54.20 region go. But it fits with the strategies that I trade personally and works, and therefore, like I say, the short at the moment is something I am prepared to be in, unless, of course, we fail to get that close below 54.50. It is something that I've been looking at since yesterday. I did really like the fact that we'd failed to break the highs yesterday. And when we started to see some momentum pushes to the downside, and obviously we've established some support here. Getting through that support seems to be pretty key at the moment. It seems to be holding strong as things stand. So we will wait and see how that progresses. But as things stand at the moment, we have potentials not only on Euro Oz, Aussie CAD, the short is still my preferred option just for the potential. However, I wouldn't hesitate to flip this to a look to long it to fall in line with the Euro Oz position. Euro CAD and Euro USD are still very much anticipating the downside. However, not to look a gift horse in the mouth, I will hedge the position also if we start to head towards the upside and look for those potential breakout areas that, as I say, we spoke about being potential possibilities for those retracements and those pullbacks. So be very mindful. Pound CAD, if we can break back below, I want to get through 74.80 before taking any potential short positions. Until then, potentially above 75.80 depending on the momentum that we see. If we can crash through that with quite a lot of momentum, then I could probably be persuaded to take a position on that. But as things stand at the moment, not in any hurry. Pound Swiss, that definitely needs to be given some time. Rejecting away from 130 looks probable. Seeing a potential pullback, and then maybe we can get an entry on the long there. Say Euro USD, we just let that do its thing. Gold. Obviously, as we saw the dollar strengthen up yesterday, we saw quite a run on gold, like a really quite significant push. We broke below the 85 level that we were talking about yesterday morning. Through these lows, very, very briefly, we had about a 50 pip gain. Not something that I was particularly interested in trading myself. However, I will be very interested to see how the pair fares around 117 and 117.05. I think if the pair jumps above 17.10, I will probably long it. And I will also, if the loss isn't too significant, want to jump out of Euro USD also. As things stand, not overly interested in the position. Even the short, I would definitely now want to see 1670 taken out before taking a potential position on that. But the long at the moment looks very favourable, and 1705 looks to be very key to anything that happens there. We're starting to see obviously that dollar weakness come in across Euro USD, so it's a potential to get out of that position and not to take any further loss and look to just get in again below 118.80. I think if I close both my positions, I'll probably come out in profit. So we shall wait and see how that progresses. Like I say, there is no fundamentals really throughout today. We're not going to see much until we get into later this evening. I think it's even tonight. We have Bank of Australia Governor Lowe speaking. That will obviously, well, I say obviously, but is likely to cause some movements. Apart from that, let me just have a quick flick through. Okay, so we've seen some quite positive trade balance news come out of the euro this morning. That's probably attributing to that euro push that we are seeing. That came in at 7 o'clock, so yeah, that's definitely attributing to the push that we're seeing on the euro as things stand. So that's 100%. Apart from that, yeah, like I say, there's nothing until 10 o'clock tonight, so it will be unrelated news if anything causes major seismic waves. But apart from that, I would expect a day similar to yesterday. We will just need to wait until we start to break into some form of movement, some form of a trend before taking a position. But like I say, we have our levels, we have everything alerted, we have everything in place that we would want. All our job now is to sit on the sidelines, wait it out and see how things progress. Whatever you're up to, be safe, have a good day, and I will catch up with people throughout today and into tomorrow.